19-year-old boy named Harry Dunn was killed, and his killer walked away free without any charges. Diplomatic immunity has acted as an escape route to many individuals who have committed crimes, and it needs to come to an end. I watched a lot of crime shows that brought up this topic and gave my initial report and interest on it. I then spent 3 weeks of doing extensive research to help further my knowledge. We are all in college in this small Blue Ridge community that we call Clemson. But the truth is, once we become fully immersed in society, we will have no idea who we will encounter or what power they will have over us. Diplomatic immunity should be changed in order to provide support for the legal system and to combat current flaws in the law of diplomatic immunity. Now, to dive a little deeper and give a little background information, with a raise of hands, how many of you actually know what diplomatic immunity is? Or maybe just heard of it? Okay, well, just to provide a little clarification, from Merriam-Webster's Dictionary in 2023, diplomatic immunity is defined as an international law that gives foreign diplomats special rights in the country where they are working, also called their host country. It's also important to note who is granted diplomatic immunity. An article in 2019 from the website Laws 101 states, diplomatic immunity extends to the members of the diplomats' families along with the diplomats themselves. Law enforcement agencies cannot arrest or detain them, nor can they search their homes or properties. Many diplomats and their families have been abusing their diplomatic immunity power by walking away scot-free from crimes ranging from manslaughter all the way to just a simple parking ticket. Diplomats are not respecting the laws of their host country, and because of diplomatic immunity, they are not being punished. Looking back at Harry Dunn's death and the situation itself, Melissa Chan wrote an article in 2019 that states, the teen Harry Dunn died August 27th in North Shine, England, after a 42-year-old American woman was driving on the wrong side of the road, struck him head on while he was riding a motorcycle. Now, the American woman herself was not actually a diplomat. However, she was married to one, and because she had these relational ties, she was able to be granted diplomatic immunity. Along with this, she was able to return home to the U.S. without being followed by any charges. If this is such a big problem, such a common occurrence, you might be wondering why you've never heard of it or why it's not kept up in the media. Well, the truth is, most of these cases are being kept classified. Many countries, including the U.S., have been hiding government reports. Referring back to the article by Melissa Chan, not all diplomatic crimes become international scandals, like Harry Dunn's. In 2017, Canadian journalists uncovered over a year's worth of classified government reports that exploit foreign diplomats and their family members for breaking the law. Many cases have been committed with many different crimes, like drug and human trafficking, theft, tax fraud, rape, and even manslaughter. But this is not a new problem. It's actually been occurring for decades. An article in 2021 from the Reader's Digest states, in the 1980s, a New York police detective testified about tracking down a suspect in a series of rapes. Although the suspect had been identified by 2 victims, the police had to let him go after 45 minutes because he was the son of a diplomat from Ghana. As he left, the former detective told the New York Times he snickered and said, "I told you I had diplomatic immunity," as he was looking at the 2 women, the victims, and laughing. Now, you might not think you're being directly affected by this, probably because you haven't been a victim of such a crime, or you probably don't know anybody who has. But the truth is, you're affected every day. How would you feel knowing that you were paying for other people's crimes? Andrew Lisa wrote an article in 2023 called "This is Where Your Tax Dollars Actually Go." At the end of 2019, the U.S. held about $16.8 trillion in debt. Another article by Yvonne Bleen states, fines for not paying an 8-pound toll, which is about $9.80 in U.S. currency, accumulated in 2010, and the U.S. owed Great Britain $3,821,000 in unpaid fines by the U.S. diplomats. Now, I know $3 to $4 million doesn't seem like a lot compared to $16.8 trillion, but they certainly aren't helping. They're only increasing our debt, which then increases your tax dollars to help get rid of this accumulated debt. It's also important to note that diplomats from other countries don't pay taxes. So whenever they visit their host country, they don't have to pay any state, federal, or property tax. So they're pretty much living here rent-free. If this problem persists, many diplomats might see how far they can push past the law with their so-called immunity. More people will get hurt, more debt will be accumulated, and no one will be punished. Now that I've explained the extent of the problem, let's talk about a solution. The Treaty of Vienna Conventions on Diplomatic Relations should be revised to construct guidelines for diplomats to follow. There are three main concepts that should be changed. First off, diplomats should not be allowed tax exemption. This allows them to support the economy wherever they are and just build up a foundation. Secondly, diplomatic immunity should only apply to them and not their families. And lastly, diplomats can be obtained and put on trial in the host country in which they committed the crime. However, their punishment must come from their home country. This will create more equality throughout the judicial systems in which they grew up with. Because this is an international law and treaty, it's not going to be an easy overnight fix. However, there are steps we can take to help push this along. By keeping this problem in the media is one of our biggest resources. Sharing posts on Instagram and Facebook can help build awareness. Another way we can build awareness is through petitions. Petitions used to just be on paper, but now are also found online and actually create a significant change. For example, an article in 2019 by Harriet Cara states, Maryland high school student Sydney Helford started a petition in January 2017 urging Congress to pass the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture PACT Act to make animal cruelty a federal felony. It was passed that same year and became a law. This shows that just a simple signature can actually create a great change. Along with sharing posts and signing petitions, the right to vote is important. We are all granted this privilege in the United States and we need to take it seriously. By voting for the right representatives who want to endorse change, we can help speed up this process overall. Now again, because this is that international law and treaty, we can't just go around saying we don't want to follow it or just don't want to do it at all. But Congress does have power here in making diplomats from other countries who visit the U.S. obey the laws we have in place. The article from Reader Digest states, but Congress has power here by shaming us through public hearings or chopping serious foreign aid to countries with trouble-making emissaries. Once other countries see the U.S. stepping in and creating a change, they will probably want to do the same in their country by creating new laws and guidelines that have to be abided by other diplomats. And hopefully, they will all want to just come together and revise the treaty itself. Overall, your taxes will stay at a lower rate, and the judicial system will be kept fair. A fair judicial system has always been important throughout history, especially now. The article Diplomatic Immunity by Emily Munzo in 2012 states, equality before the law is a worldwide prospect of how a fair legal system should be constructed. The fact is that before a law says heritage, gender, sexual orientation, or other discrimination should not be of any significance. No matter who you are, where you came from, or what power you hold, this should not make you above the law. This problem will not be an overnight fix, but it cannot continue to be unrecognized. In conclusion, diplomatic immunity should be changed in order to provide support for the legal system and to combat current flaws in the laws of diplomatic immunity. Those in power should be held just as accountable without those without any power at all. Thank you.